What the fuck are we doing?
Let's talk about the Fermi
I can't see
Paradox.
any fucking computer screen. And hardly anybody.
Likely.
So I didn't
What's
even
that?
really...
All right. So the Fermi Paradox.
Okay, so the Fermi Paradox. So for people who don't know what that is,
Me.
quick definition. So the Fermi Paradox, or Fermi's Paradox, named after physicist Enrico Fermi, is the apparent contradiction between the lack of evidence and high probability estimates for the existence of extraterrestrial civilizations.
All right, so break that down
okay.
for those
So there's four
that
key
aren't
points.
in layman's.
All right. So
That
basically,
are
it's broken.
layman's? I think it's our layman's.
So there are billions of stars in the galaxy that are similar to the sun, and many of these stars are billions of years older than the solar system, which would imply that there should have been probably a civilization long before us, right?
Right.
Sure.
Definitely.
The second would be, with high probability, some of these stars have Earth-like planets, which is kind of like ours and our sun. If the Earth is typical, then there should be other planets behaving the same way around stars and suns, and I mean, there's like...
Which they call the Goldilocks.
Yeah.
So the Goldilocks principle is that it's not too hot, not too cold. It's a perfect temperature where you could...
Way
Just
around
right.
Stars and suns.
Exactly,
And,
just
you know,
right.
there's like-
Which they call the Goldilocks.
yeah.
What else we got as far as the Fermi? So the Goldilocks principle
well, the
is
Fermi
that
is
it's not too
all-
hot,
so
not too cold.
It's kind of an
It's a
umbrella
perfect
term.
temperature where you could...
There's a lot
Just
of
right.
stars and suns. And,
Just
you know,
right.
there's like-
Which they call the Goldilocks.
yeah.
What else we got as far as the Fermi? So the Goldilocks principle
well, the
is
Fermi
that
is
it's not too
all-
hot, not too cold.
It's kind of an
It's a
umbrella
perfect
term.
temperature where you could...
There's a lot of
Just right.
stars and suns. And,
Just
you know,
right.
there's like-
Which they call the Goldilocks.
yeah.
Right. I was just about
So the Goldilocks principle
well, the
is
Fermi
that
is
it's not too
all-
hot, not too cold.
It's kind of an
It's a
umbrella
perfect
term.
temperature where you could...
There's a lot of
Just right.
stars and suns. And,
Just
you know,
right.
there's like-
Which they call the Goldilocks.
Right. I was just about
So the Goldilocks principle is that it's not too hot, not too cold.
It's kind of
It's a
an
perfect temperature where you could...
Just right.
stars and suns. And,
Just right. Which they call the Goldilocks.
right. I was just about
So the Goldilocks principle is that it's not too hot, not too cold.
it's kind of
It's a perfect temperature where you could...
Just right.
stars and suns. And,
Just right. Which they call the Goldilocks.
right. I was just about
So the Goldilocks principle is that it's not too hot, not too cold.
it's kind of
It's a perfect temperature where you could...
Just right.
stars and suns. And,
Just right. Which they call the Goldilocks.
right. I was just about
So the Goldilocks principle is that it's not too hot, not too cold.
it's kind of
It's a perfect temperature where you could...
stars and suns. And,
Just right. Which they call the Goldilocks. So the Goldilocks principle is that it's not too hot, not too cold.
it's kind of
It's a perfect temperature where you could...
stars and suns. And,
Just right. Which they call the Goldilocks. So the Goldilocks principle is that it's not too hot, not too cold.
it's kind of
It's a perfect temperature where you could...
stars and suns. And,
Just right. Which they call the Goldilocks. So the Goldilocks principle is that it's not too hot, not too cold. It's a perfect temperature where you could...
stars and suns. And,
Just right. Which they call the Goldilocks. So the Goldilocks principle is that it's not too hot, not too cold. It's a perfect temperature where you could...
stars and suns. And,
Just right. Which they call the Goldilocks. So the Goldilocks principle is that it's not too hot, not too cold. It's a perfect temperature where you could...
logical. They can't feel or think, but now, you know, you look at
Well,
fungus and how it behaves.
they habitat like even like moss in lakes. That's a fungi, and
Logical,
so
they
it
can't
grows.
feel or think, but now
Not only that, it actually
you
puts
look at
off.
fungus
Well,
and how it behaves.
they habitat like even like moss in lakes. Yeah, that's where you get H2S. That's a fungi, and
Logical,
so
they
it
can't
grows.
feel or think, but now
not only that, it
you know,
actually
you
puts
look
off.
at
Like even like moss in lakes. Yeah, that's where you get H2S. That's a fungi, and
Logical,
so
they
it
can't
grows.
feel or think, but now
not only that, it
you know,
actually
you look
puts
Sorry about that, guys. What the hell's going on here? Let's try that. Let's see if that works. Is that better, guys?
Appreciate the feedback.
Sorry about that, guys.
Definitely keeps us.
What the hell's going on
our
here?
Toes about the show.
Let's try that. Let's see if that works. Something's going on. Is that better, guys?
Appreciate that feedback.
Sorry about that, guys.
Talking
Like,
about aliens. You know,
what's going on here?
That's what happened. What they want to show. You start talking
Let's try
about
that. Let's see if
aliens,
that works.
the government just
Something's
starts
going on.
interfering.
Is that better, guys?
All of a sudden, we're having
Sorry about that, guys.
Talking
Like,
about aliens.
what's going on
That's
here?
what happened. What they want to show. You start talking
Let's try
about
that. Let's see if
aliens.
that works. Okay. All right. Let's try that. I think I fixed it. That should be a lot better, guys.
All right. So we were talking about
You're
the
not
Fermi
really-
Paradox, right? Okay. So
Yeah, Fermi.
so you do believe in aliens. You say that we probably have seen them, but institutions like our government probably hide it for whatever reason.
Right.
What about you, Clay? You believe in the aliens?
Yes. I mean, you got to believe in living organisms,
Mm-hmm.
which, I mean, that could be anything, really. Anything living outside.
Well, you're
our-
not wrong. So I mean, there's like bacteria and things, but when people talk about like the Fermi Paradox, is specifically civilizations, so advanced, complex, sentient life forms. So
Well, see,
so
that could be
bacteria
the-
is not in the equation because I mean, there probably is
But they are-
bacteria.
yeah.
No, you're right. That is life. You're not wrong.
So, I mean, where do we draw the line, I guess? Do they have to be walking?
Advanced civilization, space. There's actually three types. So the first one we fall under that.
I actually
category.
think bacteria and fungi are more advanced than we are.
Yeah, that's kind of
be.
what we were talking about as
Oh.
far as I think. Hey, Robert, I think we got the issue fixed. Just let us know if we don't.
Well, it sounds interesting going
Yeah,
somewhere.
and
You're saying
enjoy up my nose, Robert. I know that you like it.
So bacteria is more.
That's how a bacteria, like, so you get bacteria, they colonize, and then they start forming algae, fungi, and then
Right.
fungi emits gases.
Okay.
So basically, if you want to think of it that way, almost emit its own atmosphere.
Sure.
If you want to think of it that way.
Which is super important when you're like traveling through space because again, we're made up of so
Right.
many biological
Right. We
stuff.
need the
There's
right
like
conditions.
millions of different bacteria and cells and everything that are working together. You start going out in space where things are mutating, blood flow's not doing its appropriate job because it does seem like the Earth is
Yeah,
a
the
harbor
regulation of
for
physiology and biological
organisms.
functions.
You go up in space, and so you don't really know what's going to survive and what's going to make it through the journey. And that's one of the biggest concepts they talked about as far as like life on different planets. When you start traveling out, I mean, might have microscopic concepts of life that we're not aware of.
Sure.
Again, why would we talk to an ant?
Well, look at okay. So, like, if you want to think of it as, so if you take the Earth, it has all the right stuff for stuff to live. So you could say that bacteria started and then grew into something bigger,
Right.
like maybe tadpoles.
That's
or,
the idea of evolution.
Exactly. You can't actually debunk it because life grows through fungi. I mean, it's
Sure.
bacteria, and it lives.
But at the same time, life grows from a concept of what we know on the Earth of how it grows.
Yes.
There are scientists that are looking at extreme conditions like volcanic activity, things that are not water produced, water like hydrogen, oxygen, all that stuff. Now we're talking like nitrogen. We're
Yeah.
talking acid.
So
they
things
found
that aren't carbon-based, like
kind
forms,
of
things like
yeah,
that.
where you would think that an organism can only live off of water. Water is the life-sustaining
Okay,
source.
so a good example would be there's shrimp on the bottom of the ocean that live in
Yes.
highly sulfuric
Yes.
levels of acid.
Exactly.
So are you saying that you don't believe that it would be highly advanced forms of life, like super intelligent or maybe
Yeah, think Star
have the
Trek.
super abilities, maybe like
What do you mean?
well, I don't know. There are people that say that. I don't know. Have you ever heard of Palladians or something like that?
Oh, like the Anunnaki. So
You're talking about the Blue Book, and
you're talking about like different types of aliens?
Fuck, are we
yeah,
talking
well,
about?
I'm talking about extraterrestrial life
Well,
in general.
aliens we're talking about.
what's
What you're
strange.
There's a blue book.
Yeah, so I was perusing website. I found a great, incredible website. It has a link to the FBI site.
Was it tremendous?
And they have all of these documents that they're releasing, and one of them is called the Blue Book. And if people aren't familiar with the Blue Book, it pretty much talks about different types of species that have traveled, and that, like Stuart was talking about, Palladians, the Greys.
Never heard of any of it.
Different life forms that people have been keeping under wraps. And again, we can get into conspiracy if you want. Everyone knows about UFOs, though. That is like, to me, the most damning
Well,
evidence that there's something else going on.
So what you guys are talking about kind of falls into one of the theories. So the zoo theory is that basically we're on display. So advanced aliens that come and go, or anyone that talks about these sightings, we could very well be like a human Jurassic Park, and these aliens are coming and going, just watching us.
Sure.
Which is why they haven't made contact, but which is why
They just don't feed us.
Why there's so many. Well, they don't need to. We're like, think of it as we're sea monkeys.
That falls under
And
the.
so the sea monkeys can still see you, but the aliens may not either recognize that we know that they're there.
There's
or...
actual footage when we start making nuclear technology and we start making bombs that can really make some destructive concepts. There's a video you can see. I don't know if it's been edited or what goes on, but there's a fucking UFO that comes through as it's being launched, and it just starts zapping it to where it just totally neutralizes it.
I should have brought my tinfoil.
It's
hat
really
for this.
interesting. Well, yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. But aside from
No, it's
that,
funny you
whether
say
the
that 'cause-
doctoring of the video, it seems to be like you were talking about the zoo concept. They're observing until we really. It's almost like watching a child, and it's fine when he's playing around in the kitchen.
Yeah, it's
but
like-
once he grabs a knife, you're like, no. Okay, now you're gonna really harm
Well,
somebody.
See, now this falls into a second category. So the next one is called the super predatory theory, meaning that there's something like, say, Thanos. Someone is watching, something is watching, and waiting for us to hit a certain point where we can no longer go. So if we get too advanced, they destroy us. Or they're waiting, maybe they harvest us in some
Bring
way.
it,
So that's-
motherfuckers.
So, I mean, yeah, the Fermi Paradox, you have all these different theories.
Yeah, I've seen Independence Day, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And then you get into the simulation theory where this could all just be a simulation. It could either be that we're an experiment. It could be utilitarian in the sense that we're just here to kind of educate who's ever really watching us on the outside. Like, I mean, if we're the
Utilitarian
fucking...
for the layman's utilitarian.
So, like,
Let's go ahead and
maybe
define
our
that.
existence is kind of a virtual, like, educational program.
Well, if you think about what we're doing right now, as far as us learning how to travel out of space, making rocket ships, things like that, I like to think of other civilizations across the corner of the universe doing the same thing. And maybe the reason that we're not connecting is because they're still working on their primitive style
Well,
of how they're developing.
I agree, but so one of the other major theories is that we just live in a remote part of the universe where there's
Just- it's
there,
just- that's
where there
just it.
isn't there's no life other than us.
Huh.
That's good because I'm a homebody.
Or conversely, another theory states that we are the first advanced race, and we haven't reached that point where we can go out to the universe and be what we, in theory, think made us. If you want to go that way,
Yeah.
If you believe in
So
aliens,
does that go in the guise of an observational creator, like somebody that's
Yeah. Or have you guys ever played the video game Mass Effect?
like The Sims, right?
No, it's
No,
an
I
RPG,
mean-
but basically, so you have an advanced race, creates another, and then it waits until we hit a certain, point where they're like, okay, we'll like
Critical
reveal
mass.
ourselves. Well, they'll induct us into their own intergalactic, if they think we're worthy. So that's another theory. So I mean,
Yeah, isn't that Hitchhiker's Guide to the
yeah,
Galaxy?
basically. So I mean, we could still be a bunch of apes to a higher race, and they're just waiting for us to reach to their level.
Well, fuck them.
But then you hit the great filter theory, and this one is kind of interesting because the way that our technology is going. I don't know if you heard of was it the transhuman movement? So basically, our technology is taking
Yeah,
away our
isn't that
humanity.
LGBT?
And
That's true.
what I mean by
Transhuman
the great
movement.
filter is that it could be a hurricane, it could be any natural disaster that prevents a race from achieving the next step in its
I wrote a
evolution.
bit about that one time where you have people that can't self-identify whether they're
Yeah.
male or female. God forbid it.
And what
like
makes
an
you-
artificial intelligence starts going, well, I know I'm a robot,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm also a male. No, I feel like I could be. I hope it picks male. Because if it identifies as a
don't
female
want that,
and
'cause
starts
it'll-
filtering through the
It-
categories,
It'll just fuck
man.
everything.
it
You
has
don't
to
want that.
simulate a period by blowing shit up, just like making a nuclear holocaust.
We don't hate women.
See,
No.
that falls back to the great filter. And again, the super predatory theory. Let's just say if there is a
Why don't we
predatory
just-
race, in theory, it would most likely be a machine race.
So why don't we
because-
send artificial intelligence to Mars?
So now we're going to Terminator.
No, go
Well,
back to what
think
you're
about
talking
how
about.
so like basically, we start out biological, right?
What's up, Michael?
And so if you view like how we
Mikey.
evolved, biologically and technologically on a line, the closer or the further away we go from our, where we started biologically, and the closer we get technologically, we start losing our humanity. People complain that they can't connect anymore, even though we have the technology to connect to anything. And once that's removed, we're going to hit a point where this is called the transcension hypothesis, which if our technology gets so advanced, we'll start looking more inward. So we'll start relying on our technology to experience the universe, and rather than going out there. So like creating, sending out machines
Right.
that will do the exploring for us.
Right.
But you're able to, like, I don't know if you've seen Guardians of the Galaxy 2. There's a scene where these people are flying these like alien spaceships during a battle, but they're all on their planet.
Don't
controlling
ruin
it
this shit for
remotely.
me.
Yeah. But the idea is
Spoilers.
like, because you know what? It would take too long for us to adapt to space. naturally.
Troy Baker says, I've always thought we're basically in some big petri dish.
Well, that's how I view it.
What
And,
the
maybe
fuck?
maybe space isn't the frontier we should be
Why a
going.
petri
Maybe-
dish?
Petri. I mean,
Well, we are a petri dish. We're just a bunch of fluid
Oh, is it-
mixed around with.
but
We're doing flat Earth shit now.
there is a great show. If any of you guys want to check it out on Sundays, it's called One Strange Rock, and it takes 8 astronauts that have already been up in space, and they talk about how the Earth is like a haven. It's like a heaven. We're in this petri
you could-
dish that is conditioned for
There's
us.
that
you could view it as a
petri
self.
dish again.
Well, hold on. Better example. You could kind of view it as a self-regulating organism.
Like the
Yeah,
Earth.
kind of like the human body. So if you compare the two, we're both made up of complex systems that are constantly in motion. Things are going on.
Where's the fucking dish come into play?
The petri is
Yeah.
that's what bothered me.
Yeah.
It's a metaphor, Clay.
yeah,
is a
it's
metaphor.
definitely a metaphor, bro.
Forget the dish. A circular terrarium. A
Quit
sphere.
fucking with me, Troy. Don't do it.
It is. Yeah, man. It's
Kind of like a Dyson.
It's
sphere.
basically like a 4-year-old. I mean, we're just a big 4-year-old, full of fucking boogies and
No,
shit.
sir.
Just,
No,
yeah,
no.
just full of diseases.
I'm not 4 years old.
You mentioned the Dyson sphere.
Yeah. Okay. So
Hypothetical megastructure that completely encompasses a star
yes,
and captures a
that
large
falls
percentage of its
into,
power output.
I think the type 2 or 3
Oh, look at you.
category. Which one is
Yeah.
it? Type 2?
It is
As a
type
civiliz-
2.
Okay, type 2 of a civilization. I forget what the scale is called, but
It's called the Kardashev
Are you
scale.
quizzing
that's
us?
the one. No, I
No,
did my homework. So let's explain what that means. So what are the 3 types?
Okay, so the Kardashev scale is all based on categories of civilization, and it's in 3 classes. Type 1 is they'll be able to access the whole energy available on their planet. That's type 1. Type 2 is the ability to access the energy available on the home star.
And then we get
And
to
that's
type
what the
3.
Dyson sphere is all about, is where you're pretty much harnessing the sun or the nearest star as the source of energy. And then type 3 is you're
God
using
mode.
every God mode. Yeah, you're using all the available energy throughout the galaxy.
So aren't we doing 1 and 2 already?
I
No,
would argue
we
we're not
fall
doing
under
2
one.
at all.
So like using natural resources.
I
The
know,
sun
but
is
then-
not a natural
and then
resource in the
we
fact,
got-
in the sense that it's not on our planet.
But
it's
now we're
outside of
fucking
it.
that up because everybody's like global warming.
Well, now if we make a Dyson sphere. So this is actually rather a
But the second one, we're
What do
using
you call
solar
it?
energy now.
well, right, but our sun particularly is different from a lot of other stars because it's actually
Better?
been more well, sure, for lack of better words, it's been more stable.
It shines on America. It's already
Most
better.
stars don't behave the way that our
Shines
sun
on
does.
America. It's already better.
God damn it, Clayton.
America.
America and Space Force.
So, and that's the other strange concept. Like we talked about the weaponry. Like if you're gonna have Space Force, what kind of weapons are you gonna use up
Space
there?
Force.
I mean,
You're gonna use the laser gun
know.
that China just invented.
I mean, space is pretty
Laser, you
hostile.
gotta do
that, that thing,
quotations,
that
dude.
thing's like
Laser.
freaking laser beam.
it's a laser beam. That's the
send the-
weight of an AK-47, man.
That's fine.
That's insane.
Let's fucking do it, dude.
We'll laser mount some sharks and send them into space. It'll be terrifying.
I'm gonna shoot shit for no reason.
So wait, since we were
but
talking
that's
about
how
the
that's
Dyson
how we
sphere,
will.
there's another
That's how we will militarize.
interesting
space.
piece of technology and theory that actually I think what was his name? Was it Ray Bradbury that came up with it? The guy's last name was Bradbury. I forget who it was, but it was called the this is a Russian word. I need to find it.
Oh, collusion.
It's referring to those
What's in the Gatorade,
yeah,
Clay?
what the fuck is it called?
Vodka is in the Gatorade.
Hold on. My notes are really fucking disorganized.
That's all good, man.
It's referring to that fucking wooden thing with the like the dolls within the dolls.
Oh,
What do you call
yeah,
that?
the Russian
or
doll
something?
set, where it's a doll within a doll within a doll.
Yeah, so there's a.
I think I have that
basically,
one.
It's a type of technology where this would be. It's like the Matrix, exactly what that is. So spheres within spheres, connecting all these people to basically live. Well, see, this goes back to the.
I thought the Matrix was like.
Well, this goes
coding
back to
for the
the
internet.
transcension
It's
hypothesis.
almost like Inception.
where our technology will get to the point where we can actually take our minds and put it onto the technology and live our life out
That's-
that way.
yeah, that's called
because
It's been a while since I've
because
seen
the
it.
idea is true ascension would be completely removing yourself from the confines of space itself.
Yeah, that'd be
so
called-
you'd be
that's the
so
singularity.
advanced. You would need so little, resources outside of what you could create. So like this is harnessing serious forms of energy. Again, like the sun would be a good example. But this goes back, I think, into God tier.
Yeah, but
So,
we're
like, we wouldn't-
also doing things so back asswards as far as like like you talk about traveling inward, where you're talking about
say
technology.
like the mind transcends and the body is the problem. So maybe
So
like
you could take the
exploring
mind and you could
space
just
maybe might not be
just
the,
zap the mind somewhere else.
Exactly.
That's fascinating.
What
That's
the
interesting.
fuck?
If you're like, think about it,
Your
like
mind blown
you start
quick.
talking and like we make connections or something. We figure out that there is life, and they're like, hey, we have this device where, and they show us how to do it. And you're like,
you
"Here,
could live the
here,
perfect
just
life and
upload
you'd never
consciousness and
think
bam,
twice."
it goes over here.
So how long before you think that if we ever meet up with aliens, the first person that's going to fuck one?
Space Force. So
You-
if we
dude,
send
I
Marines
wonder,
into space,
I wonder if my
People
girl
are
would
into
give me
some
a
weird
pass
shit.
for that.
Just saying.
I think we'd be in agreement to just give each other.
Dude,
a
Marines
pass.
are going to be the first one in Space Force fucking something.
they're also
That's
going to
guaranteed.
they're also going to get the space Sith,
100%.
and that's how the zombie apocalypse begins.
They're gonna get the,
Alien bacteria.
They're gonna get the first space AIDS.
space AIDS. Spades.
Spades.
Spades. I love it.
Space AIDS.
Spades. We're trademarking that right now. Spades. Y'all can't have it.
Don't get spades.
Don't get fucking spades.
By the way, that's copyrighted.
I know many fucking Marines that are gonna put in that shit.
They're going to
so,
fuck something.
Yeah.
Dude, even moon dirt, it doesn't matter.
Well, NASA is
Moon
they're trying to. So they've created a new propulsion system, and it's called plasma, and it's supposed to. So the average distance.
They use an ion.
yeah,
engine.
Ionically charged gas.
charged particles.
Okay.
And so the idea is that it takes 300 days to get to Mars from Earth. If you use this technology, it can be 39 days. And I think that's fascinating because I've always said rocketry is just like the Oregon Trail.
Imagine
Well, you know
the
what?
crash
Faster
test
the
dummies
better
that
because
have to
exposure in
experience that
space.
first.
Sorry, go on.
And imagine the crash dummies that have to experience that first, dude. That's like Challenger number two.
Well, I think well, dude,
Challenger
before
number
that, I think
two.
Russia sent at least 50 different animals into space.
Yeah, they started with dogs.
Yeah, they never came back.
Nope. Well, that's the whole thing. Who wants to go to Mars, everybody?
Poor
It's a
pooches.
suicide
There's a
mission.
17-year-old
well, I
girl
got-
that does, and she's not coming back. I'll tell you that.
I got some stipulations if I'm going.
What are those?
You're fucking something.
Yeah, I'm fucking something. Either give me a vacuum.
Troy,
The vacuum of space.
Troy,
Yeah.
Troy loves the spades. Well, glad that we could.
Troy
make you
has
laugh,
spades already. He's not even from Earth.
Actually, if you think about it, you think even if someone had AIDS and you put them up in space, that it would do anything? Like, I don't know. It'd be kind of a weird experiment.
I mean, would it
I
matter?
think it would compound. Yeah,
The-
it would.
Dude, because you
I mean,
might,
you're already getting cancer if you're in space.
yeah, and
That's true.
The likelihood of you coming back
we're
is probably
space
not that
dimension.
good.
yeah, that's fair. That's why you're sending robots.
Yeah.
Well, what they typically do is I think they have astronauts up in the space station for less than a year. Obviously, shorter the better. But does anyone know the name of that one guy that came back recently?
Off Armageddon.
We'll go with that. So I mean,
Ben Affleck.
well, you know what? He was in space.
Bruce
for,
Willis didn't make it.
He was in space for a year, and that,
Dude, he's an American hero.
that's not. Yeah. He was in space for a year, and he came back. His bone density was much less. He was fucked up.
Yeah.
Pussy.
He wasn't evolved for it, but he
It's
was out
space,
there
man.
longer than what's usually advised. So if we have a propulsion system that would take 130 days versus a year or whatever it is to get to Mars, that's only going to mean good things for the people on there because it's a there's
a
a
challenge.
timetable. It
That's
is.
if your propulsion system doesn't kill your
Think of it this
astronauts
way: people have a
first.
half-life in space. And I mean, you got particles shooting around that you can't see. You know, it's described as flashing lights in your eyes. And
Which-
people thought, and there's this the music in space that Brandon brought up the
Well,
last.
that lends
are the
that
extra
lends
That was
me
in
to
Apollo
believe-
13,
Well, this
and that
could
was
be
Hank
this-
Williams
well-
Sr.
or the movie phenomenon. But no, the point is that you have all these different, waves and things, and people perceive it. Oh, it's aliens in space. This and that. No, it could be brain cancer. It could be a tumor. I mean, your
That
body
is
is being
phenomenon. You
fucked
just
with.
described phenomenon.
Well, just when you talk about like the sheer distance of space alone,
That too.
that shows me that we have to find a different type of technology to travel. It's just
Machines.
almost like if Stuart was to get into a car right now and drive to Fort Lauderdale, and we say you only have limited supplies.
First of all,
you
let
can
me-
call
let
us
me-
anytime.
Let me stop you. I will never drive to Florida because Florida sucks.
Okay.
Carry on.
All right. He would have to ration out proportionally.
Sure.
Now he could
Yeah,
call.
he's gonna
We
do
could
that.
check up on
Well,
him.
see, I think we can do that again. The real
And that's
issue
what
is
they're
the-
doing with the astronauts. But the further out you get, now you're talking about the delay, the lag. I think it's like we're talking 30 to 40 minutes of trying to just send a signal.
There's no maritime law.
So you're losing this connection.
Signal. Hold on, that's important. So another
There's no MOA.
theory to the Fermi paradox as to why we haven't made contact is
Right.
different signals.
Ah.
So just
the
because we
vibrations.
use radio waves, maybe there's an advanced race, that use what he said. So different types of vibration or light, maybe. I mean, who knows? But
Ooh, let's
we're
talk
just
about
not on
light.
the right. We're not on the right wavelength with these other species.
Well, that would be the one thing that we could all agree on is there's fucking light everywhere.
Yeah.
If we've
No
just,
light,
yeah,
then
we
there's
just
maybe nothing then?
We just
Yeah.
point to the goddamn sun. I don't care what it is. Anytime you meet something in general, you fucking play charades. That's how you communicate. And so you got some big superior race that comes down first goddamn thing. I'm doing pointing to the sun, going, yeah, that it right there.
And Clay's fucking it.
And yeah,
I'm not pointing at the sun. I can promise you
Gonna
that.
burn.
you just don't look at it. You point, but you don't
Yeah.
look directly at
Me
it.
love you long time.
Just put a paper bag over it.
But I think there is something to that. I mean, there's light everywhere, and it's made by stars.
Yeah, it's also
There's not light at nighttime.
yeah, there is. If there's no light, you can't see shit. So if you can see something in the dark, there's still light.
You can't argue that.
I mean, it's not. Well, I did argue that.
light. Nighttime.
I mean, the only
God.
light we
Stars,
have is it
the
shines.
moon.
Yeah, that's because the sun shines on those all the time.
Well, even if it's not direct,
So
there's,
it's-
there's enough.
Have you ever
it's
thought
gotta
maybe
be-
we're pussies and we need night lights?
well to see?
Well, yeah, it's like plugging a little nightlight in your kid's room. But what if that's? What if guys are like pussies?
So this is what I think would happen if there was no more light: sensory deprivation. You would eventually go fucking insane.
Sure. They've
'Cause
shown
we
that
evolved-
before. God damn, I'm still reeling from that.
That got me, dude.
Damn it, Clay.
That got me.
I'm just saying. I mean,
Troy says 45 minutes for a radio signal from Mars to Earth. 45 minutes.
how does he acquire this knowledge?
Google.com.
The power of reading.
So that would
Or you
have to
could-
mean you can't have a direct connection. It's whatever you're sending, you have to package
That's
it.
a long ass Ethernet cord.
Yeah, well, you're packaging it saying, here's a 20-minute video, love you. It's like writing letters. That's exactly what it goes back to is, you know, way back in the day,
In a bottle,
we didn't have
in the
this
fucking
interaction
ocean.
where we can just talk back and forth on a phone. It's, dear so-and-so, this has been going on, and this has been going on, and this has been going on. And so the
ink
further
quill
out you
pens
get-
under candlelight.
Yeah. And that's what it seems to me what we're doing as far as like, I don't think we're advanced at all.
That wasn't when
We're
America
coming
was
up
great.
with these sophisticated technologies.
Depends your definition, but I think we're definitely hitting a filter.
Okay, for an example,
You
so
got porn in your hand.
that's amazing. Sure.
Yes.
No, it's
But,
not though.
okay,
Think
so-
about what it does to the species as a whole. People start losing interest in procreation with real women,
Negative.
real
I think we need
You
to-
say
Negative.
no. I mean, you say that personally, and I mean that's probably true. But statistically, porn has had a very terrible effect, especially on people who grew up with internet porn versus like I think I was maybe 12 or 13 when that happened. So my development,
Off a floppy disk and shit.
well, no, but my brain was. I mean, we had
Wasn't
pictures. There wasn't a
floppy
lot
anymore.
of. There wasn't a lot of
Who
videos.
named
but
that?
the point is, though, you have generations.
Then they went to hard drive.
yeah.
Floppy to hard.
Floppy. God damn it. Do you know what I'm saying, though? So it's very it spurs antisocial behavior.
Yeah,
and
I can see that.
And I mean, it's our technology.
I think that the Earth could definitely deal really well with a little depopulation. A little.
Look at this motherfucker over here. Dude, he just wants to kill
Well, hey, if
something.
we start uploading our brains to machines, problem solved.
Well,
Quantum computing. If we just upload everybody onto a
You were
cloud,
born to be a Marine, just saying.
Yeah, that's a straight. I forget his
you
name.
can't tell
but he
me
talks
that you
about the
don't
singularity.
drive in traffic sometimes and you think, God damn, there's so many people on this fucking.
No,
Everybody
I
gets
did.
the finger. I'm not joking.
Everybody.
Ask Troy Baker. He knows. I even follow him.
Does Troy get the finger?
No. He's too big for that.
He's too
You got to shoot him.
Yeah, shoot him.
Yeah. That big ogre running at you is just.
so.
Sorry, what were we saying there?
Yeah, I
earlier?
interrupted you.
No, so it was Kurzig, I think, and it's the idea is the singularity, and he wants to do this because he lost his father, and he wants to bring his father back. Now, I'm not sure how you're going to do that.
By
If you're
making
going
a
to
time machine.
simulate
You'd be-
something like that,
You would be dead by the time that would even happen.
Couldn't he just clone the man?
I mean, again, it's a very strange concept, but like what he believes is that you can start synthesizing how a person behaves and what we do, especially like in neuroscience.
Algorithms.
Yeah,
I mean,
if you start following the
That
formula,
is like Interstellar.
I love my dad, but I'm not
You
gonna.
gotta watch that.
I'm not gonna be Doctor
should.
fucking Frankenstein.
Because that's
for him.
exactly what they do.
No, we need Frankensteins. We need people to play God. Otherwise, we'll never make it to Type 3.
That's
I
why
like that
they
one.
made Marines.
Like that one guy that volunteered to have his head taken off, and
Yeah,
I
let's
heard
do
about that. How'd that
Yeah.
work out? I heard the guy was a total fucking quack.
oh, dude, I heard. Yeah, I don't
Let's just
think
repeat that.
I don't think it happened.
Russian
volunteered
man was a total
To
quack.
have his head taken off.
Well, he was terminal.
No, it was.
he was terminal, so he was.
Who wants to be decapitated?
Actually, you know what? Have you seen the sequel to the X-Files movie? They did that. So this dude
Wasn't he-
wanted his gay lovers
wasn't he
manhead
paralyzed?
on a woman's body.
wasn't the reason why because he was paralyzed.
Yeah, he was gonna die.
I saw
anyway.
that.
Can you
Mars
imagine if
attacks
they-
also.
So he wouldn't be able to raise his hand.
Why? That's fucked up.
He,
Also.
no, he could click. He could blink twice,
right.
or maybe make a clicking sound.
Can you imagine if they put your head on a body that has like the smallest dick in the world? Like really?
That's Mars attack shit.
Yeah, like you couldn't find somebody else. I would have waited. I've been paralyzed for a while.
So getting back on topic with the Fermi Paradox, when I started doing some studying, we're now just talking like billions, and then you have to talk about billions upon billions. So
Yeah,
try
I
to
mean,
bear with
mathematically
me.
speaking, there should be, right? There should be some.
So the
kind of
universe is approximately 90 billion light years
Nope.
in diameter.
Nope.
Yep.
According to my dad, negative.
And probably still growing.
Not happening.
But so here's the next issue
90
with why.
billion.
Okay, so another
Troy
theory,
has confirmed
another
your,
Fermi
your
thing here.
story, Clay, of flipping people off.
So-
Everybody gets it.
A light year is 9.4607 times 10
Right.
to the 12th kilometers. That is nearly 6 trillion miles.
Yep.
You're taking
And this is-
90 billion times 6 trillion.
That
I don't
arithmetic
even
And,
know.
that, and I
doesn't add up.
believe I could be wrong about this, but this is just the expanse of the Milky Way galaxy, right?
Yeah, this is just
So that brings me to this
That's
other
pretty fucking
issue
big.
with the Fermi Paradox. So the reason why we haven't,
Thank you for noticing.
seen any other aliens or
What's
anything
up,
like that
Leah?
is because we can never leave the Milky Way. It would take even at like the speed of light, it's like 500
Even in a
million,
lifetime.
500 million years
In
or
a
billion.
lifetime.
Well, right, but by the time you were to get outside and reach
Just
that
a
next
short walk,
civilization,
that's right, Sean.
they would be long dead.
But wouldn't you go back in time?
and
With
that's-
what
No,
y'all
you're
were saying?
no,
but
you're
now
going
that's
forward.
but that's the bizarre thing now is if you go out in space because and Einstein's already done this before where you could look at two different clocks,
Yeah.
keep one down here on Earth and one up in space, and they are not the same. When you're up in space, the way gravity is
'Cause
not.
times of conscious.
Yeah, it's.
What would you
when
live forever
start-
then?
So even if you start traveling really fast and you travel far, people that you've left,
Yeah, they're
age
aging.
more than you.
It's interstellar.
It's insane to
Just
think
like that.
about.
That'd be funny to come back
great
to your
movie.
ex and be like, ha, bitch.
I'm
Dude,
gonna
she'd be
go get
dead at
some. I'm
least.
gonna go get some milk.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
I'll
With
be
my-
right back.
With my 20-year-old self.
He's just working on a spaceship in the back. What are you doing, honey? Don't worry about it.
Working on my bone density.
How to survive the rigors of space.
So now we start talking about like
Avoid the space.
UFOs or all these other things that are coming down. The weird thing that I notice is they don't really seem to just come from somewhere. They just seem to just appear out of nowhere. It's not like you just see them just come right down like
from space.
yeah, it just seems to just appear.
Wait, what?
UFOs, like they just seem to just appear out of nowhere.
That's why we need Space Force.
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Well,
Yeah.
a quick comment on what he's saying. So, like every culture, there's even a lot of I don't know if they're real, but I've seen like paintings from like early Christian era stuff. There's fucking discs and UFOs in the
Yeah.
background, or things that you could say, oh hey, look, it looks like a fucking UFO. So every culture has some kind of story or like depiction of something you could say is, hey, that's from fucking outer space, Mesopotamia. There are some images that clearly look like fucking astronauts, but it could be bad artwork.
How,
That's that
how
ancient
dumb do
alien
you
shit.
think they would feel like seeing something fly around and like, motherfucker?
Yeah.
We're going to have to step up our game, guys. Like, let's build pyramids. Fuck them.
Well, there's a reason why they were pyramids. I mean, I think we talked about this last.
I think,
podcast.
yeah, they're in a...
So the triangle is like a geometrically powerful shape, or
well,
something.
the
to
fact
that
that we
effect?
still can't figure out how
like,
they did it.
Well, no,
I
like
think
you
it's
take
like
a stool.
PowerPoint.
So a three-legged stool is more efficient than a four-legged one.
I'm a
Don't bring.
three-legged stool.
Here we go.
There are the rules of three, which are fascinating. I mean, if you need any more proof, look at your body. Look
Oh,
at
here
how,
we go.
Oh,
I'm not getting
Are
into
you
it.
gonna jerk off my arm
I'm
again?
not going to get
No.
into it.
He jerked off on your arm.
But
No, last
no.
night. Do you remember when he was rubbing it?
I was creating vibrations.
Yeah, how'd that work out?
yeah.
He was-
I was-
you did the wrong arm.
I was
he was
proven to
he was
him.
creating vibrations on clay.
Yeah.
Which is just
Imagine
friction,
that,
just
people.
heat, just changing the temperature.
He does a mad Hummer.
Anyways, if you look at how your body's constructed,
Okay.
it's based on a series of threes. You've got,
Interesting.
which is like a 0 point right here where your joint is, because that prevents me from taking my finger and bending it all the way back. It seems to be we're constructed of all of it. Your
Okay.
elbows, your legs, even your fingers, the fingertips. There's an interesting concept of why things are made in threes, and it seems to be because there's a foundational structure
Sure.
instead of fours. And that has just everything to do with like
What about people that can like bend everything backwards? Huh.
An inverted triangle.
Have you seen that one kid that talks about the flat Earth and he takes a lemon and he goes, "The lemon's roughly what the Earth looks like," and he pours water on it, and he goes, "Now take the plate,"
Yeah.
and he pours water. He goes, "Just like the flooding in Houston," and he goes, "Try me."
I seem to
That
remember
was your
somebody,
fucking moment right there.
Dude, the half orange
turtles all the way
I
down.
remember somebody last night. Not saying no names.
What?
Well, I can
Dude.
admit right now that I'm open to the idea of a flat Earth.
Really?
I'm
Really?
just fine with
wait,
it.
Wait, hold on. Why? How?
Oh God.
I think that if you actually look at the theory, it's
Retard.
actually a
Well, let me ask you this.
go for it.
Why would we lie about it all this time? What is to be gained from a flat Earth?
Conspiracy
versus a round
theory,
Earth?
Russia
hold
is
on.
involved.
What would be the point?
No, I mean,
that's a great question.
again, I'm not a flat earther.
Well, no, okay.
I'm just
Whatever.
But why are all the other planets elliptical, and why would we just be the
that's
only
another
flat one?
argument. That's
Okay.
a
It's a
very
flat
good
plate.
argument. I don't have
can't-
a rebut.
I
for
brought it up to
that.
him last night as far as how gravity works in 360 degrees. There's no fucking way the Earth could be flat. There's just
Well,
no
no,
way.
you're right. Because the space station, what happens if someone wanks one? What do you think happens to the fluid?
Everybody just look
No,
at
no,
his
listen,
face
listen.
right now.
This is a serious.
Look at
I'm
him.
serious. What happens to the liquid? It forms into little circles.
It
orbs,
clumps. It
globules.
clumps.
Yeah.
That's a
That's
flat.
true.
That's a flat. one.
So
That's
if
that's a
planets
great
are
image.
made
I'll
from
enjoy that
liquids and
image.
things like that, I
Look at
think
him.
they would adhere to the
at
same
him.
laws
He's-
of physics, right?
Sean H. Bunch says dirt from the Sahara Desert is in Dallas right now. That's awesome. That's
That
it's
is
true.
awesome.
Or
It's
like
That's
really
trade
cool.
winds.
That is insane, is what that is.
So is
So
that
probably-
illegal
all that
sand?
nuclear debris from all the bombs we've ever
It's just
detonated
so
as well.
astronauts start noticing this when they're up in space. You could literally see the Earth pretty much trying to take care of itself. So you've got
Gaia theory.
like Sean just said, you've got dirt from Western Africa goes across the Atlantic Ocean. We all know how far the Atlantic Ocean is. Just imagine that it
Actually,
still
I don't.
made
How
it.
far is it?
I'm not too sure, to be quite honest. I wasn't
He
getting
was hoping you
specifics.
knew.
Yeah, sure.
You know what would be funny? Typical Americans to put fans up and be like, "Fuck your sand." Send it right back. We're deporting that fucking sand right now.
Does your sand have
We'll
paper?
build a wall.
Yeah.
It's the goddamn wall.
But
We
yeah,
do
it's,
it.
it's fascinating to see how the Earth, like how connected we really are. And on that topic, this is one of the things that's really been bothering me a lot as far as when you start thinking the vastness of space and this Fermi paradox. And I kind of want to bring up this image that you were talking about, the Drake. Is it the Drake equation?
Yeah, so this is kind of the logic behind how we can say, oh, if there was life, this would be the reason.
Right.
And so the formula is 1 being us times 10 to the 22nd power, which, to be honest with you, I forget what the 22nd power means, but it's,
Times it.
I mean, hold on. So with 100 billion to 1,000 billion stars, there could be trillions and trillions of planets that are habitable, that are rotating around these stars. So it's just, you're breaking it down, you're timesing everything. So for one sun, there's X amount of planets. Some of them have to be viable for some kind of complex life. I'm not talking bacteria. I'm talking about, things like us. But that doesn't mean... And
They
there's-
don't want none.
Actually, there's a quote by... I wish I remember the guy's name, but this is important. Let me see if I can find it.
Space Force is underway. I don't know what to tell them.
How does that formula go? N minus.
Yeah, actually, can we bring up
into
the formula?
The bottom,
Huh?
the sixth
What?
Somebody
So all
somebody
it is-
read out that fucking
It
formula.
said 10
It's
to the
just-
22nd power.
It's just a symbol.
Well,
So
anyway,
you times it.
They're just symbols that multiply on themselves over and over and over until the very end, which is divided by the time that the planet's going to survive and not get eaten up by the star. For example, we're going to get eaten up when? In about, what, another 20,000 years or something?
Oh, fuck. Here comes
20,000
Y2K.
years. Oh, no, more than that, at least.
One more?
I mean, no.
Everybody buy water.
We got millions. Are you talking about the sun expanding?
There's America. Fuck you, son.
No, it's
Yeah,
like,
wall.
You're getting one of these too.
Yeah,
It's
wall again.
it's in the millions, but
It is millions?
It's a long. We'll
Yeah,
we'll
I
be
mean,
dead probably anyway.
I should have figured that number out before this, but that's a viable concept now, because now we're starting to talk
Yeah,
about
20 million sounds a lot
how
more
long it
viable
takes
than
to even locate
20,000.
another planet. First of all, let's
Mm-hmm.
not forget the fact that we're spinning. Not only are we spinning, we're
Not according to
moving.
last night.
We're moving, and so our universe is constantly expanding
Yeah.
and just constantly moving in all these moving parts. So even if you figure out where the sector of another planet is that might have life, we don't have the fucking technology to even get
Right.
there. And
But-
even when we point where we're trying
Yeah.
to go, they're fucking over there now.
Well, yeah, but we can look at them through a telescope and be like, fuck them.
Well, we're also thinking
Fuck
in
that
terms
planet.
that these other beings are going to be like us. I mean, if you had a race
Sure.
of like aliens living on, let's say Neptune was that gaseous planet.
It's got to be vibrations. It has to be vibrations.
Well, right,
That-
but
that is-
what if it's a complete it's a race that's evolved on being gaseous or
Sure.
something that's not solid like us? But I mean, we're mostly water, right?
Sure.
So you could say we're kind of a king
that
of
almost
Mercury.
sounded racist.
I'm not gonna go with the
No,
obvious
no.
joke
The
there.
point is though, we're looking all the wrong places. There could very well be alien races so advanced that we can't even see them because they're either maybe it's transdimensional or maybe
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, no,
Non-binary.
Man,
No,
you would
no,
get
no, no,
you would get
no,
along with
no.
our dad, dude, talking
Yeah.
about interdimension.
Yeah, they don't know what
Inter-
bathroom
well,
to
hold on.
use.
interdimensional
Bear with me, though.
beings.
They don't
I
know
think
what
it's
planets to
possible.
piss on.
I always keep an open mind.
Yeah,
Flatter.
we
Well, I
know.
forgot what I was gonna say.
Fucking ridiculous.
Well,
Don't be scared of the word trans. I'm talking about not SJW bullshit. Sorry, go on.
Oh, my
I
bad.
know. I like what you were talking as far as. I mean, could that be ghosts? Could that be like all
That's
this
what I think.
weird
So if
stuff
you're
that
into like
goes
string
on?
theory and things like that, I think that kind of phenomenon is more of like overlap of all the potential realities. Because as I mentioned earlier, like the whole thing with time. So let's just suppose for a second that everything in time, whether it's going forward or back, has already happened, and we're living through kind of the echo of it.
Yeah.
So right now we all could be fucking dead, right? It doesn't matter.
So
point is though, you could go back. So like if you look at like a glitched computer with the mouse and how it just trails, you know what I'm talking about? Has that ever happened to you?
Mm-hmm.
Look at time that way. So with string theory, I think it is, you have all these potential, like if you can think something, it happens.
Yeah.
I wish.
So I mean, you're looking at complete probability
Billionaire.
and possibility.
So Einstein talked about
Cocaine hookers.
action at a spooky distance theory.
Yeah.
And action at a spooky distance theory was something that he knew was happening, but he couldn't prove it.
Mm.
And it bothered him because he knew it was happening, and he didn't know why. Because it would be this very strange connection that, and so if people are not familiar with it, it's you got a bunch of particles that start exciting. They start
Spirit fingers.
Yeah, they spirit finger around each other. Sorry, I'm getting real passionate here.
No, go on, finish.
You mean neutrons and electrons?
Anyway, yeah. So you got protons, neutrons, electrons, photons, quarks, all sorts of these particles. And when they start entangling, that's the concept is called entanglement. Once they
like
create
entanglement.
matter, it doesn't matter where they go. It doesn't matter what the distance is. If one is affected, the other's affected as well. But it's also in an opposite charge of how it goes.
Isn't that kind of like hosing different area codes?
Yeah, sure. let's go with that.
That's
route.
kind of time travel.
Exactly.
So the concept is if Einstein was correct about the quantum entanglement and the action of spooky distance theory, and
Spooky
scientists
distance.
were correct about the Big Bang theory, that would literally prove that everything's connected.
But didn't Einstein prove, what is it, Newton?
Troy says, I hate this lag. I so wish I was there with you guys. Hey, Troy, call in. Do you have Skype? Call in.
Yeah, we should probably
the
take in
first
some
name
calls if
is
there's anyone who
The
wants to.
Pirate, and the last name Ship Podcast, and you can talk to us live, buddy.
Yeah, and then you can get your fix.
He said he's just
Yeah,
talking,
let's hear
he's
some
just
of- let's hear
talking
some
to his phone
opinions.
like a lunatic.
He's probably tired of listening to me. For sure. I know that for a fact.
I don't know who could ever get tired of
Yeah,
listening
you get
to you.
the voice of a choir of angels.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's like that space noise that they hear.
I would set your voice to my baby making music. That's what
Is it like Jesus and Fergie?
It's like Fergie singing the national anthem.
Oh my god.
Oh wow.
It's that amazing.
Ugh.
Is that a thing?
Oh my! You haven't
dude.
seen it?
Oh no, I don't want to. If that's real.
Oh
she-
my god!
she
You know what though?
decimated that
Everyone has
motherfucker.
butchered that song in like the last. few
Not as
years.
bad. As she did.
I literally didn't want to be American anymore after
Ouch.
Fergie did that.
All right, any callers? Any callers?
I'm helping him out here.
All right.
But anyways, on that, to me, I think that's fascinating, and I've been a big proponent that
Damn fighting words.
I think the Big Bang Theory is just an echo of a black hole. That's truly what. Oh, I'm sorry, dude. My bad. I think it's just an echo of a black hole deep down. And so when we start looking at black holes, and I think that's really where we need to start looking, because if space is so vast and so
That would, I
big,
think, be the only way.
And they actually,
Yeah,
I think, just proved that.
yes,
And Einstein back in
Well,
what,
you would have a black
1916?
hole, which is the entry point, and then white holes, which I don't know too much about. But that's,
Whoa!
I know, gotta make it racial. No, the white hole would be like think of it this way. So what if there's a bunch of invisible worms throughout the universe, right? You go through the black
He
hole,
just
which
went
is the
there.
entry point of the mouth,
Sure.
and you come out the ass, which is the white one. So all that matter. Wait, hold on. All that, but listen though, all that matter that gets eaten up by the black hole, it comes out of the white hole. Wait, listen though, completely new. Like compare it to an earthworm when it eats dirt
What
through one
the
orifice.
fuck are we
No,
talking?
but listen, this is called a metaphor, Clay. A metaphor.
Yeah, I thought we were talking about assholes and fucking white
You know,
holes.
in a way, yes. So
And
there's
then there's earthworms.
well, listen though, space
Okay.
orifices.
Sounds kinky.
So basically, the black hole behaves like an earthworm in how it eats matter. In this case, a worm would eat dirt, and then the excretion is reconstituted matter.
Oh,
So,
he's doing
you
it on
have-
purpose now. This is
Austin, do you feel? Do you hear what I'm saying?
I honestly I stopped listening.
All right.
Dude,
For another time.
next time I go
I
to
thought
use
we were
the
talking
bathroom-
about black holes.
You know, we were really jiving, man, and then
No,
you
no.
started bringing that shit
No,
up.
no, no. Listen. So back on the black holes. No, focus. Can we talk about the black holes for a second? No, listen. Let me.
There's no going back.
There is going back. There is. This is serious.
Next time I take a shit, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna go
fucking
make some
children.
matter.
No, well, no. This is something about black holes. So it consumes matter. Black holes have been shown to act in theory predatory.
Yes.
And so when they consume, the idea is out of the white hole, matter is reconstituted. Yeah, the white hole. Get that out of your system.
straight face.
It's a bunch of holes, man. It goes in one hole, it comes out the other, but reconstituted, recreating the universe.
Well, we don't know
And
what
much the
happens
same. Well, right, but
when
much
you
the same way.
shine
I just want to
a photon through a black hole. You have no idea what.
No, this
if
is
it-
just a theory.
What
But this is where the worm thing comes in.
fuck
I'm just
are
making a
we
metaphorical comparison. You fuck God. Okay, whatever.
What are we
Moving on. Do we have any
metaphor-
callers?
we actually are adults, I promise.
No, we're a bunch of man children. Clay might be the only real adult here. Because
I don't think so.
do you own property?
Huh?
Do you own property?
No.
Oh, you're not an adult then. Okay.
No. I just sold my property.
Well, you were an adult.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm done adulting.
We're on this.
Reverted. That's why we're talking
Now
about
just
black
do
holes
lunges.
and white holes.
Holes.
Holes in general.
So on the subject of first, it was traveling to the moon.
Yeah.
We haven't gone back, which is very peculiar.
Boring.
I think we will. I heard there's plans to make it like a space station, a
Well,
way
Barack
station.
Obama in 2010 said that the plan was by the mid 2030s to orbit Mars. To orbit
Yeah,
Mars,
but-
not to land, not to terraform, but
What
just
a-
to orbit.
What a fucking goal. This is America.
Right.
No, we need to penetrate it.
Yeah, I'm gonna let me spend 300 days on a spaceship.
know,
so
that's
that I
when
can go
Space
to
Force comes in.
orbit
Yeah.
something.
If I'm a highly evolved
We either
being
go
and I
big or
just
we
heard
go
what you
home.
just said, like if I'm listening in, like, hey, we found life, and you just said, we gotta fuck it. That's
Well,
what
hey,
we gotta
dude,
do.
we got
We
to-
gotta see the fucking moon. We're gonna fuck it.
Well, hopefully they don't listen
Triangles,
to the
man.
show.
There's no
It's
life
phallic.
here. Let's keep moving.
That's like talking to your buddies like, I'm gonna fuck her. And then when you get like you're
You want
like,
to make love to it, Clay.
What's up,
You just
baby?
don't want to fuck it.
Yeah.
You want to cherish it.
Yeah.
You
You
want
be
to
all
take care of it.
appreciation.
You'd
do
be
you
all
want to go? Do you want to go watch the meteor shower?
You'd be all sweet to
Yeah.
it.
Some kind of
to its
shower.
holes.
Yeah.
If you're going to make life, you have to take care of it. You just don't fuck it.
What? I was gonna take care of it. I mean, I'm going back to Earth.
I do think that's kind of asinine though to travel all the way out to Mars. Just
So she's gonna have to
orbit
figure
it.
out, like,
I don't think that.
Child support and stuff.
Well, the other
Perfect. We were definitely on topic with what I was talking.
The problem is that we don't have the resources to get, we can get there. We can't get back. If you think about, so again, this is back with our rocketry.
Well, yeah, that's going to be a one-way
Rocketry.
It's like
Whatever.
it's
Is that a
whoever
word?
played the Oregon
Is that
Trail.
a fucking word?
Yeah, it
Rocketry? Is it?
Yeah.
Whoever's played the Oregon
Lucky on
Trail,
that one.
you realize
Are
you
we
had
really-
to just go
Let the man speak.
travel very, very slowly at a very, very far distance. And if you think about as far as rockets go, enough rockets just to get you out of the atmosphere. But then those boosters fly off.
Okay, but to be fair though,
You
so
need another pair
getting
of
there
boosters
really isn't
just-
the problem though. It's being able to get there in terraform, which terraforming sounds like, oh yeah, we could do that by fucking with the atmosphere and all that. I forget what they call it, but like there's very toxic shit in the soil on Mars.
Right.
So you're not terraforming that
You have to-
anytime
you
soon.
have to create an
You would
atmosphere
you
first.
would have to send packages constantly. And
Yes.
This goes back to the resource thing. So we wouldn't have the budget.
You would have to
And
create your own biome on
You would,
Mars
and that
first,
would that would take.
and
who
then
Matt
knows how long
Damon
that
did
would
it
take.
in The Martian.
Didn't Elon Musk?
He says by 2020 or 2030.
Didn't he want to nuke Mars?
I
Wasn't
don't know
that?
about
yeah,
his
he was,
idea
he was
was
talking about
Is he American?
nuking.
Is that to kind of like restart everything?
Yeah, he was talking about
Killing all the
jumpstarting the
bacteria.
atmosphere by
Fucking it up.
sending nuclear
Yeah.
weapons to it.
Blow up that planet. Let's restart this universe.
Sean says, build your booster or your ship in space. Well, again, the idea is that when it's in orbit, you can find it. When it's in
Yeah.
space, it's hard to find it
But
because
there's-
everything moving.
There's also other
So-
problems. So the radiation. That is
just-
a huge issue.
Oh,
just
absolutely.
Radiation in general.
Big time. So there's a lot of difficult things the challenges that we have to solve as far as these problems go that are and I'm not saying they're insurmountable, but it's a tall order. So we're all just talking about, oh yeah, we're going to go to Mars. You have anyone thought about how we're going to fucking do
you
it?
know, a few years ago they video interviewed over 200,000 people to go, and they were claiming by, I think it was either this year or next year, that they were going to send people up there.
Can you imagine?
Of course,
the
that was
bright
delayed.
Candidates they got for that.
That's a one-way trip.
Well, it is. Well, then that's what I'm saying. So
I have
it's
my
like,
stipulations.
yeah.
42 virgins.
But they've already, NASA, I think it was, interviewed 200,000 people to go on Mars.
That's a one-way trip.
It is a one-way trip, and they told them that. But let's
That's
be honest.
fucked up.
Well, it is, but someone has to do it. But like,
Bye.
we've never colonized the planet.
That's the biggest like Lewis
People are
and
gonna
Clark
die.
and Vikings thing that you
I
can
can
do
just see a
is
guy
that
with a clipboard
expedition.
like, okay, does anybody want to fuck Mars?
Clay's over there in the back
He's
row.
just gonna dig a hole in the ground and put his dick in it.
I'll fucking Dune.
Fucking Dune.
Fucking
Dune in it.
Which, that's the other question. Do you think that you would even be able to get a boner in space?
I'll try.
You'll try your
Well, heck,
damnedest.
fuck, they don't care if I die. So fucking, like, as soon as they take off, they're like, they ain't coming back. We don't even have a rescue mission. They're just fucked.
It is, and I like what Sean was talking about. The other idea was, if it's just a one-way trip,
Yeah.
start supplying.
Sure.
So you know that ship's not coming back.
Right.
Make it to where it's biodegradable or whatever. However, it's going to not.
Now you got
fuck
to
up
rely
something else.
on other fucking people.
But the other
to
problem
get
now
it
is
up
you
to
don't. You have a planet that doesn't have a fucking atmosphere, so you have nothing to level it down. So if you're trying to talk about like
Yeah, it would take-
boosters
When are they
or
gonna
things
forget
like
about
that,
you?
and you're talking about combustibles, I mean, you could be blowing shit up.
Fucking A.
It's
All it
so
ta-
many fucking
all
problems.
it takes is a grain of sand floating through space, and it'll fuck your world up.
I know.
Breach,
that-
breach
that's
the
true.
hole, you're fucked. You miss one supply line, you're fucked.
They
So-
don't want to give me explosives.
$100 billion. $100 billion is what they think is going to take to get a mission in 2035.
I think we could do that if all the rich people, actually invested
It's
in their world.
funny that you mentioned
it?
that.
Oh, here we go, Illuminati.
No, dude.
Is it
So
worth
here's
it?
what's really strange. People that have lots of money nowadays,
Don't want to spend any.
they're
of it.
investing in space.
Oh.
They're investing
Space
in
Force.
either space
Yeah,
or
space
companies.
force, space weapons. That's a huge thing.
Bill Gates,
space law, even
For
too.
Microsoft is investing in Chimeta. Has anyone ever heard of fucking Chimeta?
Sounds like a fucking super
Jeff
villain
Bezos, who just recently surpassed Bill Gates as the richest fucking man,
Oh.
he's
Bezos
investing in
has
Blue
Google?
Origin. Now we've all heard of SpaceX, and we've heard
Yeah.
of we know NASA and SpaceX pretty much, but I've never heard of Blue Origin or Planetary Resources or Windward, Moon Express, Space IL, Strato Launch, Planetary Resources again, OneWeb, Virgin Galactic. That's Richard Branson.
That sounds like a strip club.
That's Richard
Oh
Branson.
yeah, Virgin Atlantic, Richard Branson.
Yeah, so
He was
where
on
you going
the,
tonight, Virgin
He was on the
Atlantic?
Shark Tank.
Second, it's very strange how you've got a lot of people. They have tons of money, but again, what's the concept? Now we're gonna go fucking elsewhere. We're gonna manifest
Infinite
destiny.
real estate. You want that star? 40 million.
I think we should go back to, and this
I
is
think
gonna
you can
sound
buy
really
stars,
crazy.
actually.
That's a cheap ass
Yeah,
star.
so
40
back,
million,
well,
I'm in.
hold on. Back in like,
me that
I
star.
forget. I think it was like the
40 mil.
90s. They were selling. What was it? Like destination
Yes.
coordinates for stars. Like you know, here's for your girlfriend.
Yes.
A certificate.
I
This is your
purchased
star.
one of
Yeah,
those.
exactly.
You know, as soon as they got money, they were like, fucking moron. Like, fucking
Clay
idiot.
would be that guy that would be like, "You're on my star."
Yeah,
get off my.
you will
star.
get off of it. I will travel 40 fucking
I
million
will
light years
fight you.
to fuck your world.
Space
Yeah.
war.
I'm gonna impregnate your fucking star. How about that?
I
Bitch.
already forgot the word for that. What is
Yeah.
that? Seeding the universe. Sperm.
Panspermia.
Panspermia.
Spermia. Yeah.
Spreading your seed through space.
That sounds great.
Yeah, bro.
As long as I get Wi-Fi,
that's
I'm
quite
good.
the
Astronauts
expedition
are
as
just
well.
a bunch of sperm floating in space, looking for something to impregnate.
Yeah.
That's what colonists
So
are.
I know this is going to sound really, really crazy.
Space
but
Force.
After so many
America.
times, you have to fight it
isn't
off.
there a
though.
philosophy behind instead of looking outward, you look inward?
yeah.
And I think that's really what we should be start doing as far as like what they do in CERN.
Self-reflecting?
Not really
Well,
self-reflecting.
no,
it's
thinking
it's-
about how the mind can transcend the physical world. That's
Yes.
what they mean by inward. Or, back with the whole machine thing where we get to a point where technology is so advanced, we can take our minds, upload it.
Or
and
what
then
they're doing in
Yeah,
never
just
have to
talking
live
about dropping
physically ever
acid.
again.
Isn't that fucking...
I mean, we could be
Arnold-
doing it now.
Isn't that like
well,
Arnold Schwarzenegger? Like,
that large hadron collider in CERN.
What's that,
They're trying to recreate the Big Bang.
But
They're
if you
literally
make-
trying to look and see how all that started, and they think if they can figure shit out like that, we can learn about black holes a lot more. We can learn about
that's like Terminator shit, though. Dude, because you're gonna make them so smart, they can be self-sufficient.
Are you talking about for the AI?
Like machines?
Yeah. Then you gotta find some bitch O'Connor, and then
Some of it.
some
Well, I mean,
some
I gotta
bitch
clarify
O'Connor.
that.
You
Some
could look
bitch
at it this way.
O'Connor.
So
she might be dead. I don't know.
machine life could very well be the end of biological life, and then it would come full circle.
That'd
So
be the next form of
It
evolution.
would. So this is what
I'm
machine.
down.
Well, listen,
I'm
this is-
down.
So on a
Population's
on
out
a-
of control.
On a
You're
nano
not
sca-
a robot.
Hey, look who joined.
Since we're on robots, nanoscale here. You ever heard of gray goo? So all it would take is a machine race to create a satellite. On that satellite, it'd have nanomachines. Those nanomachines, in theory, could break down every living thing molecularly within seconds. That would be the end of all biological life.
So
which is
they-
why this is another Fermi thing. So this is
What
why
do
we
you-
don't see other races.
What do you think AI would do about trees?
They would probably keep it alive.
Why? They don't. They don't
That's
rely on
biological.
oxygen.
Yeah, no, they don't require
They
it.
see that as a
That's-
hindrance.
Well,
That's
you're
biological.
assuming they're
But
thinking
now-
like people, though. See, people
but
are
now
very
you're-
self-centered. Machines,
They're
I
written by
couldn't-
coders.
How
that are
dare
Well, right,
you.
so I couldn't tell you how a
So
machine
now
thinks
you're
on its own.
right now. You're asking this really serious question of: is your survival more important than the Earth's?
Fuck yeah.
But I mean, my whole thing would be
Motherfucker,
that
I don't want to die.
AI is going to reflect its creator. So it's going to probably think, oh, well, biological life is important.
So
but maybe
basically,
people
all
are the
AI is
virus.
going to be pieces of shit because they're created by humans. And
In
humans
one
are,
way, sure.
Well, that's,
Humans
that's
are
the
innately
idea as far
pieces
as
of shit.
the human error. Like, so do you blame the paintbrush or the artist?
Fuck that paintbrush.
Art
Can it be
sucks. Fuck art.
Well, anyway,
What's in the
wrapping it up.
Gatorade, Clay?
What is in the Gatorade, Clay?
Probably a little bit too much of something.
Anyways,
You love my beard, Andrew.
you need to trim that motherfucker, dude.
Get off of my.
so that's the
meats,
common
bro.
idea is that that UFOs and the aliens and stuff that they're just robots, that they're just artificial intelligence.
no,
they're
and
not
it-
real sentient beings.
It's just one theory, but my personal theory is that biological life with technology inevitably will become machines. But in turn, once all the biological life is gone,
Like a
machines
hybrid.
naturally will revert back to biological
Like
form.
just a cycle.
Well, if you think about it, like our body, like machines behave much like people. So like a computer, it's equivocal to the human brain, except it works faster. But with
Well, the
quantum
human
computing-
brain created it.
Well, right, but what I'm saying is
This is
our
your original
technology is separating ourselves from ourselves. So everything that like a calculator, you don't need to think about numbers. The calculator does it for you.
Thank
you don't
God.
have to remember things because you can just fucking
So
Google it.
This came from you. This is
Katie
your
Hart
thought?
says,
Partly.
"We love you."
We should
Clayton.
name this the Anthony Paradox
Huh?
because it's really
Katie
it's
Hart
great.
says,
Well, I
"We
got
love
this
you,
from a video
Clayton."
game
Love you,
on top
Katie.
of other things, but the idea is again, so it's circular. So
Right.
again, if like an advanced civilization becomes so advanced, its technology surpasses its biological, whatever, we can upload our brains. We've gone full machine,
Upload.
and then. I guess you could just say that eventually
Nerds.
comes full circle. It'd be biological again. It's a cycle, so it goes from biological to machine to biological
Circle
to
of
machine.
life.
Right.
That's interesting. It makes sense though because if you take into account how long it took just a planet to just be formed in
Yeah,
the
I
first
mean, you
place,
have the
you have
artificer
to have
and
the
the
destruction.
artifice, yeah.
You have to have the terrible shit, and then you get the good stuff for a period of time, and then after that,
And that's
the
the
good
great
shit
filter.
goes away, and,
then
it
you're
just cycles
extinct.
over and
Yeah.
over and over.
Or you transcend
Yeah.
and you leave the physical world.
yeah, that's interesting. That's a really cool thought.
And I
Can
think
you
we're in the
imagine the
process
type
that
of
with our
porn that's going to
entertainment
come
medium.
from AI porn?
Exactly, that's a part of it though. Porn is removing yourself from
You know
your
how
physical
loud that would
body.
be?
You're
Two
looking
metal
at,
clicking.
I got to take a piss.
Dude, yeah, like, what is that?
what were you talking about?
Oh, nothing.
We're just talking about
We're having two different
two
conversations
AI
here.
fucking.
Yeah, so if they're like,
These two are just. What's that?
Okay, if you and him fucking have a baby, it would win the Pulitzer Prize. What's that guy's name again?
Anthony.
Okay, I'll shut up.
He's a badass dude.
Oh, one more question.
Yeah.
Has anybody been like, who the fuck is this guy with the camera?
No, what do you? No, they're scared. They think you're about to blow us all up.
Redneck asshole.
motherfucker, dude.
Conveniently taking a piss as pouring his
Yeah.
brought. Yeah, he had to go take a pit stop for. I don't know. Crank
No,
one out.
he
But
left.
no, if
he
you-
left on a high note. He dropped the mic.
So if you take like Terminator and then you have two machines like fucking,
Okay.
that's all like clanging. Like there's no like being quiet. So if you had like little robot kids, they're gonna know what mom and daddy's doing.
Oh, I fucking love
Get off my mama.
We're about to wrap this up. We got
Yeah.
four more minutes.
I can't.
I'm just inserting my
stand
Ethernet.
You're coming up with robot jokes.
Dude, this will be porn of the future.
Play-
If you watch.
Anthony and I are talking about the circle of fucking life, and here you are just like robots
Talking
fuck.
about AI fucking.
Robots fucking. This is what they sound like.
See, I was thinking about something a little bit
But
more.
they're all
like,
metal, so it's like clank.
Andrew makes a
They
great
don't have to
point.
be all metal, dude. We talking about AI is not always gonna be
Andrew
metal.
makes a very great point, which is robots
Haven't you
don't
heard
need
of
to
sex
fuck.
dolls?
What if one has more charge than the other? So it's like battery. Dude, I can go all day. I don't care.
That was amazing. Oh,
Like how it turned everything into fucking.
that's great, dude.
Can I plug my USB into you?
Do you know what docking is?
It sounds hot.
Slick legging.
Oh my god.
Do you wait? Would you engage in docking?
Male
Yes
or
or no?
female?
Just yes
Do
or
I have
no.
the?
Just say yes or no.
No, I gotta know. Do I have the
No,
male
no, no.
part?
Just say yes or no. I'll tell you in a second.
It's not a setup at all.
I'll
Not at all.
dock.
Just yes or no.
I'll dock
Because
mine
it,
into
it requires
her.
two male parts, both of which I'll,
But no,
I'll give you a
there-
hint. I'll give you.
there's
a hint.
an
I'll give you a
adapter.
hint.
Hey.
Jews can't dock.
So
He
Troy
gets it.
Baker says,
What the fuck are we talking about?
What is going on?
Stu, you have a striking resemblance to Dimebag Daryl.
Yeah, I gave him a little winky.
Ah, what? All right, so we're going to end on this note. Here's a nice little riddle for you guys. If I buy a bat and a
Oh
ball,
my
Fuck
god.
you, dude. Fuck
Let
you.
the man
We're
speak. Wait,
done.
hold on.
If-
I haven't heard this.
if I buy
Austin.
a bat and a ball
Yeah.
that costs $1.10,
Okay.
the bat is worth $1 more than the ball. How much is the ball?
Fuck you.
I concur with Clay.
$1.10?
No.
10 cents? $1.
Fucking retard.
Are you the